And yet, Majority Leader, yesterday you heard him, Kimani Ichung'wah, saying this thing is going to pass no matter what. Cherargei, Senator, saying this thing, even full stop, comma, alama ya kushanga.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
Some of the provisions in that bill that are just outright wrong, and how I would wish that the president would listen.
And they're not listening.
How I wish that they would listen.
Yeah.
Because people are telling them these things, they're just wrong. 3% levy on housing, make it voluntary. If it has to be there, make it voluntary. And Jeff, housing is not the biggest problem we have at the country the country as of now. Bring those things gradually. You cannot just force Kenyans that you have to have a 3% housing levy. Jeff, why would you want to again be paying for a housing levy?
I don't.
Why would you want to?
Alafu wanasema in 7 years I can get the money back.
Taxed.
Taxed.
Has to be taxed, yes. When you getting the money, it will be taxed, the 3%, the one you've been giving out, you as an employer, as an employee, but the one that the employer has been giving, you can't take that in 7 years. You have to wait for 14 years to take that money out of that.
Oh my God.
And the strategy, it's not just they have not just thought through the whole process, because if they involved Kenyans, nobody would not want a house. If you are promising me to give me a house in 10 years, and there's a clear strategy, I'm saying that if I did ABCD, I'll get that house. Why would I not jump into the scheme? Yeah. I think what they would have done, they would have piloted the private sectors, and so once they build the house, they now try to lure the civil servants to try and buying those houses.
Goin, did you see in Busia the other day? The president was there at a rally, and who else but the real people's watchman?
Okay, Mtata was there, and the president telling him, "Najua unaenda kotini, lakini wachana na hii maneno."
We wachana hii mambo we.
But I was listening on my way, and yes, I think Kenya Kwanza have given Azimio just very easy space. It's like you give them the news. You're literally just taking the news to hang yourself. And the housing fund, it is one of the main issues in this finance bill. We saw protests yesterday, and university workers and a number of workers have said if it sails through, then they begin protests immediately. Well, the idea may be a good idea, or is a good idea. I think it should be pushed forward. The implementation should be one of those that the financial year should be maybe 2024, 2025. Allow the country to, revive its economy first. Let Kenyans feel a bit, let their pocket feel better before you institute that. And I think one other weakness that maybe the government needs to work on, Jeff, is the communication. When you look at what David Ndii says, when you look at what the president says, when you look at what P.S. Hinga says, the explanation of the same thing appears to have some different kind of...
Has different legs.
Yes. So the messaging along this housing fund, and particularly also the finance bill, has not been straightforward. And that is why, naturally people are very mistrusting of government. And when it appears that there is something that is being shoved down your throat, something that does not come out very clearly, you begin to think, why do I think there's an ulterior motive? When David Ndii tweets and says it is not, the housing fund is not meant to construct houses. The president, on the other hand, says we put in this money from the salaried population. That money we are going to channel it towards, providing jobs, because there will be construction of affordable homes. Then Hinga comes and now gives his bit, the technical bit, now throws everyone else into confusion. Now everyone begins to say no. First, get your story right. Yeah. So I think messaging around it, they should have started earlier. And it's worse that we are at the final stages of, the bill now, the process of the bill. Public participation has ended.
And when you start sweating in a press conference, it's not a good sign.
Yes. I think...
Not just sweating.
Profusely, yeah? Yeah, so
I think he wouldn't have done that press conference.
No.
He wouldn't have done
it. Was a bad move.
And even if it was meant to be done, I think there should have been better preparation. Because, one, he came and was speaking top of his head. Sometimes, especially with government communication, sometimes a speech is very important because there's somebody that has gone through it, and there's a way everything ties into the other.
Yeah.
But when now you begin to do it off-head, and not everyone is gifted that way, you will explain something, and then something comes to your mind, and then you're like, no, yeah, it is. You see, at that moment, I think that, yes, you see, that is where actually that is a sign of. Najua ni kama ile sina maoni, nyinyi hamuelewi. I think that was one of the things that did not work out, and if they are still trying to push for it, then messaging around any of government initiatives needs to change.
You might be having good intentions, yes, but you need to carry me, you need to convince me that what you are doing is good for me. As it is, it's not. Many Kenyans are not convinced. Even the hustlers themselves. I saw a video of Mudono Mushomba talking to his people in
Murang'a.
People in
Kiambu, sorry.
Yes, and she was asking in Kikuyu, do we pass this bill? They are telling her,
no.
Please, wacha ipite lakini wewe usiweke hapo kidole yako. And so that's the general feeling amongst Kenyans on this finance bill. And we have focused so much on the housing levy, but there are lots of bad things in that bill.
Correct.
And that if it goes through, it's good that the public participation has exposed some of these things, because previously they would have been swept under, and you realize after the bill has been passed that there was a 16% levy on insurance.
Where did it come from?
Yes, insurance.
There was we were supposed to be taxed per diem. Some of those clauses and they're not good for the country as of now, irrespective of the fact that Ruto and his government wants taxes to run the government. But you cannot tax me dry.
So Kenyans are waiting to see which members will stand to be counted, literally stand to be counted. Well, which side will you be on? And for instance, the housing fund was there in the 2018-2019 finance bill, but it was shot down.
Right.
And it came to Parliament, and after the uproar and outcry from Kenyans, that bit was removed. There was also the fuel levy. It was also at 16%. President then Uhuru Kenyatta had also put it at 16% on petroleum products. It was brought down to 8%. This time it's back to 16%. Waiting to see whether now members will vote to, on the specific issues, raise issues on the specific ones that Kenyans have said maybe it is not time. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting